Cartels. The reign of the drug cartels is coming to an end, and no one has seen it coming for decades. Huge shipments have slipped past Navy patrols, keeping cartel empires afloat. But now a secret weapon has entered the fray. The B-2 stealth bomber. Silent, invisible, and deadly. This ghost from the sky could end the cartel empires forever. The stealth B-2 bomber. How will this bomber weaken the cartel's defenses? What does it mean for the future of the drug trade across the Americas? Join us as we explore the Navy's secret plan to destroy the cartel's meth labs and disrupt their operations forever. The U.S. drug crisis. Since drug cartels found new ways to smuggle drugs into the United States, the situation has gone from bad to worse. In the 1980s, about 2,500 people died each year from overdoses. By the early 2000s, that number had risen to 20,000 and now exceeds 110,000 each year. To put things in perspective, drugs have killed more Americans than the combined casualties of World War I and World War II. The vast majority of these deaths occur in poor communities and have become a serious national crisis. Drug cartels against America's defense system. Today, the United States uses more than 80% of the world's opioids. Demand continues to grow, and cartels make tens of billions of dollars each year from it. The U.S. has beefed up its defenses, but the gangs have found a clever way to evade U.S. defenses by using submarines. Submarines once thought to be too advanced for smugglers have become their secret weapons. The rise of the modern narcotic submarine. These aren't military machines, but they work well enough. The first ones appeared in the 1990s, made of wood and fiberglass, built deep in the flooded jungles, out of sight of satellites and drones. Today, these narcotic submarines have improved a lot. Talented builders are now designing them, and the results are impressive. A modern narco submarine is about 80 feet long and can travel 2,500 meters without stopping to refuel. Each vessel costs between $1 million and $2 million, is typically operated by a small crew of 5, and can carry up to 10 tons of drugs worth more than $150 million. Submarines and fast boats tactics. They are also much harder to see, with a pale blue-gray color that helps them blend into the ocean. Their shape allows them to move silently without making waves. Some even have lead linings inside to mask their heat, making them difficult to see with special heat-detecting cameras from above. If Border Patrol gets too close, the crew can open special valves to sink the sub in minutes, causing both the vessel and the drugs to disappear into the unreachable depths of the ocean. Submarines aren't their only trick. Cartels also use superfast boats to transport cocaine. These so-called go-fasts are small but powerful, about 30 feet long, and often have 3 or 4 engines as powerful as race cars. With that power, they can skim the water at speeds of more than 80 miles per hour, making them nearly impossible to catch. Go-fast boats skim close to the surface, are painted blue to make them hard to spot, are compact, and usually carry just one person, saving space for fuel and illegal cargo. With tanks that can hold up to 2,000 gallons, they can travel more than 500 miles without stopping, enough to cross from Colombia to Jamaica, or from the Bahamas straight into Florida. The go-fast and submarine combination. Today, gangs have taken things a step further by creating boats that combine speed and stealth, a cross between a go-fast boat and a submarine. These boats barely surface, with only a small portion of them visible. They are built with radar-resistant materials and painted to match the sea. They are not as fast, only about 30 miles per hour, but they are much harder to detect. With these submarines hidden deep and these stealth boats gliding above the water, it is almost impossible for smugglers to know where their next shipment will come from. Seeing how powerful and influential the cartels have become, by 2024, Donald Trump's pledge to fight the cartels. While running for a second term, Donald Trump made a bold promise that he would destroy the drug cartels. And when he was elected, he wasted no time in putting his plan into action. In a speech to Congress on March 4th, Trump called the cartels a danger to American lives. He made it clear that the cartels were waging war on America, and it was time for America to wage war on the cartels. Just 2 weeks before that speech, Trump took action, labeling 8 gangs as foreign terrorist groups, giving U.S. forces, especially the Navy, full power. Joint U.S.-Mexico military training program, using the power to pursue them through counterterrorism operations. The Mexican Senate has approved a joint military training program, combining the U.S. Army's 7th Special Forces Group and Mexico's naval forces, a clear sign that both countries are preparing for a serious war. CIA involvement and advanced drone use. The CIA has also joined the fight using high-tech drones. They have begun flying missions over Mexico to monitor gang activity from above and collect secret information. The United States is preparing for a large-scale attack, something it hasn't done since the early days of the War on Terror. According to military experts, large-scale drone strikes. Discussed 6 current and former officials from the U.S. military, law enforcement, and intelligence community said drone strikes are now being seriously discussed. Targets include gang leaders, vehicles, drug labs, and storage sites for any part of a criminal network. Talks are reportedly taking place between the White House, the Defense Department, and top intelligence leaders. Sources say the Mexican government is aware of these conversations. Trump and his terrifying ways to deal with cartels. This isn't the first time Trump has pushed for bold and dangerous actions. In 2020, while he was still in his first term, former Defense Secretary Mark Esper said that Trump asked if the military could launch missiles at drug labs in Mexico, and then denied it. Trump and his team have denied the claim, but many believe the idea has not left his mind. Trump and his supporters believe that if pressure is applied enough, cartel members will abandon the drug trade to survive. They believe that force is the only language the cartels understand. Operation James Boat. By 2025, Trump had ensured that one name that kept coming up when cartels were whispering about trouble at sea was the U.S. Coast Guard's James Boat. It hunted for smugglers relentlessly, and one mission in particular worried them. This legendary 112-day patrol had become a nightmare for cartel leaders, to the point where they didn't even like to talk about it. The cutter James is no ordinary ship, measuring 418 feet long and carrying a crew of 150 highly trained officers, each skilled in tracking, boarding, and interdicting drug traffickers. Accomplishments and impact on the gang. On January 5th, a drone launched from the USS Cutter. James detected a suspicious boat near Ecuador. The drone could fly for 18 hours and had a high-definition camera that could read the writing on the boat from miles away. It silently followed its target until the boarding team sprang into action. They seized 3 people along with more than 2,200 pounds of cocaine. The next day, January 6th, things escalated when a patrol plane spotted 3 smuggling vessels traveling together, a rare and risky occurrence for the traffickers. The crew launched helicopters and quickly intercepted all 3 vessels at once, arresting 9 people and discovering nearly 14,000 pounds of cocaine on January 7th. The traffickers tried something else, sending out a stealth boat built to hide from radar. But the Cutter James team was not fooled. A helicopter locked onto the boat, shutting down the engine with precision and safely capturing everyone on board, keeping another 8,240 pounds of cocaine off American streets. By January 18th, the traffickers were getting desperate enough that in one instance they began to throw bags of cocaine into the ocean to lighten their load and escape. But the Cutter James team was not deterred. Small, fast boats chased the traffickers, while other teams picked up the floating drugs before they sank. In the end, they recovered about 6,000 pounds of drugs in just the last 4 months. This one ship alone took more than 48,000 pounds of illegal drugs off the ocean, enough to supply a city's drug market for a year, with a street value of about $919 million. A huge blow to the gang's profits. Impact on the gangs. Warships like the USS Minneapolis-St. Paul and USS St. Louis also patrolled the Caribbean, increasing the number of drug seizures and adding to the growing list of victories, hitting the gangs where they were most vulnerable, especially the Sonolo Angelico new generation. These relentless operations left the gang bosses nervous and disoriented. For the first time in years, they were no longer sure whether their shipments would make it or simply disappear into the ocean, to be pursued by sea, air, and land. On these missions, crews intercepted drugs and gathered information, gathering intelligence and planning chases. Each time, they pursued a boat or arrested a pirate. They picked up new pieces of the puzzle, secret routes, gang members' names, and clever tricks used to hide the drugs. This intelligence is now being used to plan future attacks, making it harder for gangs to maintain their lead. And the United States is not backing down. Deploying the Navy's white gunship USS Gray. The U.S. Capitol has deployed the powerful Navy white gunship USS Gray, armed with Tomahawk cruise missiles, to the Gulf Coast near the Texas-Mexico border. It supports both Border Patrol and the Coast Guard and is ready to operate in U.S. waters and international waters. It's not just a show of force, it's a warning. CEO Donald Trump has more anti-gang tactics, but that's not all Trump has in store for gangs. The US government is preparing to unleash one of its most fearsome weapons, the B-2 Spirit silent bomb. This jet is unlike anything the gangs have ever encountered. The B-2 Spirit bomb's capabilities. On March 29th, the United States reminded the world of the B-2's capabilities. Several B-2s flew silently over the Middle East in the dead of night, precisely at 2 a.m. that morning. The first bombs were dropped on 10 key targets in Sada that disappeared within minutes, including command centers, radar stations, and bunkers used for secure communications. Originally built to deter nuclear war, the B-2 remains one of the most advanced stealth bombers on the planet. The B-2's stealth features: it can fly into enemy territory undetected, drop its deadly payload, and disappear before anyone can react. Each of its 4 engines produces 17,300 pounds of thrust, allowing it to fly at speeds of over 600 mph, while still flying above most missile systems, including anything the gangs might try to use. Now that these bombs are operational, the message is clear. If the gangs think they can hide in the woods or bury their labs deep in remote areas, they are wrong. The skies are no longer safe for them, and neither are the seas. B-2 radar cross-section reduction. When flying, there is something called radar cross-section, or RCS, which measures the size of the aircraft to radar. A large RCS means the aircraft is easy to detect and target by radar. But for the B-2, the RCS is just 0.1 square meters, smaller than a bird. An F-15 fighter jet has a radar cross-section nearly 250 times larger than the B-2 for a better comparison. So how does the B-2 manage to be virtually invisible? It all starts with its shape. Its body has smooth curves and continuous flows, which help it reflect radar waves away from enemy sensors at steep angles, typically between 60 and 90 degrees. This means that the radar doesn't receive the energy needed to detect the aircraft, so to enemy systems, it looks like the B-2 isn't there, even when it's flying straight at them. The B-2's surface coating and concealment materials. Another thing that makes this bomber special is the coating on its fuselage. At first glance, it looks like it's just black paint, useful for night missions. But that black surface isn't just paint. It's a secret blend of classified composite materials and iron particle paint. These materials work together to absorb nearly 80% of incoming radar waves. So even if someone somehow detected it, which is already nearly impossible, it would look like a bird or a cloud, certainly not a $2 billion flying beast armed with deadly bombs. Limitations of tracking radar for the B-2. Even if the gangs somehow got their hands on advanced radar systems, it wouldn't make a difference. Take the old Soviet P-18 spoon rest radar, or even the modern Iranian Qadir radar, both of which are long-range radars that operate in the L-band, around 1 to 2 GHz. While they're great for detecting large ships or aircraft, they're completely useless against aircraft like the B-2. Using those radars to find a stealth bomber is like trying to catch a needle in a fishing net. It just slips by, no matter how powerful the radar or how skilled the operator. The B-2 stays hidden. And that is why the B-2 is the perfect tool for the job. Whether flying over deserts, jungles or deep waters off the coast of cartel territory, it can strike without warning, disappear without a trace, and leave the enemy in utter confusion. Strike and relay strategy. Once the B-2s destroy the initial wave of targets, they retreat and the next strike group follows. In the case of the Houthis, F-18 Super Hornets from the USS Truman roared into action against the cartel's communications towers and radio stations. These towers are the backbone of how orders are passed through remote terrorist and cartel camps hidden deep in the jungle. Without them, the cartels would be blinded and deafened by the attack. The B-2 bombers' precision strike capability. The B-2 teams would return to deal with the Houthis, not dropping giant 2,000 lb missiles, but using 500 lb GBU-38 precision bombs. These bombs have a blast radius of around 80 meters, still devastating but small enough to hit critical infrastructure without destroying the entire surrounding forest. Such precision is what separates modern warfare from chaos. When the bombs hit, the cartel fighters won't even hear the planes, let alone fire back. Their air defenses, if they have any, will likely be destroyed before the sirens go off. Stealth and counter-air defense technology. The B-2's powerful F-18 engines aren't just about thrust. Normally jet engines generate a lot of heat, which is a red flag for infrared-guided missiles, but the B-2 is designed to make this problem disappear. Engineers came up with a clever solution by hiding the engine deep inside the fuselage like buried treasure, then building specially shaped exhaust pipes to dissipate the heat before it escapes. This not only hides the engine's glow, but also reduces the plane's infrared signature by 80%, meaning even heat-seeking missiles will have a hard time locking on. The B-2 looks more like a commercial airliner at idle than a war machine. Even if an enemy does somehow get a lock on the B-2, the lock won't last long thanks to its top-notch defense systems.
B-2's diverse weapons capabilities. B-2s work closely with Navy E-2D Hawkeye radar aircraft. These Hawkeyes share real-time data over a special secure link, providing B-2s with a comprehensive 3D picture of the sky without turning on their radar and revealing their location. When targeting underground targets, such as hidden data centers or bunkers disguised as normal buildings, B-2s use specially modified GBU-31 JDM bombs with penetrator warheads dropped from 50,000 feet. These bombs fall for more than 40 seconds before exploding deep underground, destroying even the most hardened shelters. When the ground shakes, the B-2s are miles away, safe from harm's way. Behind these passive defenses, B-2s are fully integrated into the US Combat Command Network. It can receive targeting updates as it flies via satellite, send mission information over secure radio channels, and connect to the Link 16 tactical data network. This keeps the bomber updated and connected even when deep in enemy territory. In its bomb bay, the B-2 still packs a huge payload, capable of carrying up to 40,000 pounds of weapons, including 16 2,000-pound JDAM bombs, 8 500-pound NK-82 bombs, or even a 30,000-pound GBU-57, a penetrator designed to destroy the toughest of underground shelters. The B-2 can also carry nuclear weapons such as the B-61 or B-83, although fortunately the conflict has not reached that level so far. This represents the closest thing to a nuclear option the Trump administration has without crossing that ultimate red line. It's a powerful message. The United States is serious and ready to use overwhelming force to crush cartels. US military strategy and the impact on Mexico. But not everything is clear. Insiders say that even with Mexico's cooperation, the United States could launch a covert operation without final approval. If that happens, it would be one of the largest US military moves in the region in years, involving more drones, bombers, fighters, and personnel than ever before. When NBC asked the White House about the matter, the National Security Council declined to comment. Meanwhile, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has heard rumors of a possible US attack on her territory and is not happy. In an official translation from the Mexican embassy, she said that Mexico may be working with the US, but will not allow any unauthorized action on its soil. Still, Trump's pick for US ambassador to Mexico, Ronald Johnson, has publicly supported a unilateral US mission if necessary, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has warned Mexican officials that an attack could happen with or without their consent.